Welcome back to the Flex Diet Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mike T. Nelson. On this podcast, we talk about all things to increase muscle, improve performance, improve body composition, do all of it in a flexible framework without destroying your health in the process. Today on the podcast, he's back once again, my good buddy, John Gorman. He's the veteran strength and conditioning coach, specializing in physique. And he is known for blending applied physiology with real-world performance. And I've known John for many, many years. And what I love about him is he's always looking at new research, looking at new things, and he's also applying it in the real world with his athletes, his physique competitors. And that's one thing I look for in other coaches is, do they take new information and are they willing to test it and actually apply it in the real world? And I've learned a ton of stuff from John over the years. It was awesome to chat with him again. This time we're talking all about kind of more, I'd say, on the peptide and hormone side. You know, everything from just how labs work. So everything from GLPs to T3, reverse T3, TRT, some of the pros and the cons, how to do it safely and correctly. Peptides is the wild, wild west. How do you look for what would be considered legitimate peptides, and even things in the periphery like methylene blue and carnitine in terms of supplements. So we went down many, many different rabbit holes here, and was super awesome to talk to John. And of course, we got a little bit into music at the end because we both like very similar good music. So we'll put a link to all of John's stuff down below. I'd highly encourage you to check out all the great stuff that he's got going on. Hugely appreciative of him for coming on here and just sharing so wildly from his background and all of the information. If you want some stuff from John, make sure to check out all the links down below. If you want more stuff from me, check out my daily Fitness Insider newsletter, completely free to join. Go to the link down below and you can hop on for free. So thank you so much for listening to the podcast. We really, really appreciate it. And without further ado, here is my discussion with John Gorman. Welcome back to the program, John. How are you doing?
Great. It's great to be back on. I know we had a lot of fun on our last episode. It's been a bit, man, time flies.
Oh, it's crazy. Was it like two or over 2 years ago now? I'm trying to think. I should know this.
I think that just shows our age, right? Yeah. I think it's been 2 years, but it feels like 4 months, 5-6 months to me. So yeah, it's been a bit.
Yeah. Then you've been pretty busy. And one of the things we're going to talk about is you ended up doing a Telemed facility now. Is that correct?
Yeah. So a lot's changed over the last 2 years with, me buying a manufacturing company for our supplements. That was one of the big things. And as that was happening, I also started Premier U Telemed, because a lot of the things, we were talking about this before the podcast started. I'm getting up there. I'm 48. And as I get older, I don't get a ton of 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds. I still have those clients, right?
Sure.
As a diet coach, but a lot of my people are 35 plus. And I've noticed a lot of people 45 plus. Females, for example, the stages of menopause are all starting to hit somewhere, especially someone that has a dieting history and their hormones have experienced the ups and downs of dieting, or competitive athletes. I work with a lot of competitive athletes too. That's really extremely hard on hormones. So I started to notice I'm having to send my clients out here or there to get blood work done. Some of them end up on, some form of hormone replacement therapy, and they just needed someone good to take care of their hormones, right? And their blood work and their health. So after about 5 years of trying to do this, trying to find the right people, I found Premier U, and they own 3 locations, physical locations in St. Louis. And I went up and I met the owners and spent probably 6 months doing events with them, speaking at menopause events, and just my due diligence really to make sure this is somebody I can hitch my ride to. and they're great. So yeah, we started that in March, and we are seeing people in 5 to 6 states right now. I say 5 to 6 because one's being finished as we speak. And all my clients go there. My whole family goes there. Even my son's moms go there. We've got a really, really good facility that's helping a lot of people with hormones and blood work.
And so how does that work? Do they generally have like issues they're trying to work and then they would do a consult and recommend certain blood work, or how does it work?
Yeah. So generally, I'll just give you the perfect example, right? And usually I'm screening blood work because that way I know I need to send them in. I'm not just
Sure.
randomly just trying to get all my clients to, everybody does blood work. Everybody sees my doc. It's, you
You
know,
mean not everyone needs TRT for everything?
I
Especially
mean,
on the guy's side, that seems to be what the deal is now.
yeah, and it's going to keep going that way, honestly. With everything that's happening with testosterone specifically, I think the floodgates are going to open and that's going to be available to everybody. But before we get to that, yeah, so I could have a 45-year-old female with a diet history, and she hires me, and she needs to drop 35 pounds. I know she's going through menopause, so I before I start just putting her on any kind of a diet plan, I need to make sure that her hormones are in the right place, especially testosterone, because we're training with weights. We're trying to retain muscle if we're dieting, or if we're trying to put muscle on, we've got to have free testosterone, basically. Total and free are important. So I have them go get their labs done, and I have them get a full panel. So we look at thyroid, testosterone, all the sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, all the important things, cortisol, and even down to things like reverse T3 for the thyroid, because
Sure.
that
This
gives,
weird dieting history.
yeah, it tells me if a person's not healthy, it's not time to diet, or I need to take XYZ approach, because if they still need to diet, I can still usually get them there. So there might be some aids, such as, one that people just don't understand. It's a GLP, it's tirzepatide.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's got really high inflammation, microdosing tirzepatide, there might be a great place for that. So it really gives me the look at what I need to do as a diet coach. And people hear that and they're like, well, Gorman, you're not a medical practitioner. 100% not. That's why we started Premier Telemed, because I've got like our nurse practitioner, Jordan, our physician's assistant, Dr. Brandon. He's a physician's assistant, but he's a doctor of chiropractic. Those two take care of everybody for us, and they're the experts. I just write my diet plans and training plans to match. I kind of meet them where they're at. So I just had a large amount of people that needed that. And the crazy thing is, Mike, because you think like an entrepreneur too, like you and I see things through a different lens than a lot of people. All these people that I've helped over the last 10 to 15 years, they're my age. So like when I
Yeah.
announced, it's kind of like when I launched a supplement company. Here came people from 10 years prior that I had helped. They all came about the supplement. Now I've got people that are reaching back out. They're like, hey, my wife's interested in having her hormones looked at. It just comes back, right? When you do business with people for 10 to 15 to 20 years the right way, you launch something and those people come back and support it. So that's really kind of what we're seeing.
Yeah, I know I've gone back and forth many times of even just looking at blood work. I mean, I started looking at blood work probably 15 years ago, and then I just stopped doing it because I realized quite fast, oh boy, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I don't know anything about. And it's not as simple as, the groundhog. Oh, he pops up out of the ground, you whack him back down. It's not whack-a-mole. Yeah. It's much more complicated than that. And so I started doing it again, probably maybe 5 years ago now. And I just started because it's mostly guys. A lot of my clients are mostly female, but it seems like guys were worse for this. I'd be like, okay, when's the last time you had blood work? I don't know. How old are you? 39. Okay. You don't even remember the last time you've had blood work? No. Do you know your doctor's name? Do you even know who your doctor is? What are you talking about? I'm going, oh my God, if this dude, if I don't do something to show him on paper what might be off to get him to go into a physician, I'm not trying to replace his physician. He might go 2, 3, 4 years and have nothing done, and then you start seeing weird stuff or stuff you can't figure out. And then you get blood work and you go, oh, this makes sense now. So
Yeah.
it's just another piece of the puzzle, even if you're only staying on the performance side of trying to figure out, like you said, with, T3, reverse T3, even stuff as simple as, hematocrit, iron levels, etc. All those play into what do most people complain about? Oh, my energy's low. I feel tired. My performance isn't where it's at. Now, that could be billions of other different things, but getting blood work does give you some more insight into, hey, what's going on with the engine there? What's really going?
Yeah, for me, probably one of the most important things I learned early on as I started to learn how to read labs was don't make someone's issues worse by
Oh,
just
yeah.
diving the hell out of them, right? And
Yep.
prior to 2019, people would come to me. I would diet plenty of athletes, females in their 50s. I had no idea what blood work even looked like, right? I would just put them through a contest prep. And now, if I look back, I would find much better ways to diet them, much better, functional supplements to help throw in there, things like chasteberry to help with progesterone and, Cordy's to help with cortisol, just a lot of that kind of stuff. My product hormone optimizer, not, shameless plug here, but
Yeah.
I
Plug away.
created that to help keep testosterone levels as high as possible for people, especially when they're dieting. So I wouldn't have known about any of that. So I created a lot of problems with clients. And I think a lot of coaches are doing that and they just don't realize it, right? Because I would say, if you were looking at labs 15 years ago, man, none of us were. Like, we had no clue. We stayed away from that. And then it was kind of taboo in, 2019.
Oh, I got a lot of shit for it. I never made it public because I was so afraid that some doc is just going to chew my ass.
Yeah. And, here's my response to that, because I had a nurse practitioner chew my ass for it. She's,
Still happens.
yeah, you guys are just a bunch of bros. We went to school for XYZ. And I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of people that have become successful by learning things online now versus going to school to get a degree. As long as you stay in your lane and you do the things that are ethically responsible and you respond to your clients that way, you're just trying to make their training, their nutrition, and their supplementation match that. There's nothing wrong with looking at blood work. It's the bros out there that give people, especially in the assisted bodybuilding world. It's just always been that way. It's when you get these bros out there trying to tell people how to adjust their meds and all this kind of shit. Like, that's the kind of stuff that gives it a bad rap. For guys doing what we're doing, we're just trying to help our clients get the best results possible by meeting them where they are hormonally.
Yeah. And unfortunately, like all things, there is a whole bunch of bad players too. There's the fitness bro who took 4 hours of online, credit and thinks they can read blood work now. And if I were an MD, I'd be like, screw you. I had to go to 6, 8, 10 years of school to do this. So I get it from both sides.
Yeah, I do too. But it's been a blessing. We put on events, menopause events. We generally make them free, get people in the door, help them out. It does help bring us new patients and, customers. But, at the end of the day, it just goes back to that model. The more you help somebody, the more you're going to generate in revenue and create something. And that's, as long as that's ethically at the base of what you're trying to do, it's successful. And we're growing month over month, nice and steady. So I love it. I'm so glad that I finally found the team I can start this with.
That's great. And before I forget, explain a little bit about reverse T3, because that might be new to people.
Sure. So that's probably one of the most important markers that people like us should look at that doesn't get tested, because you pretty much have to request it.
Yeah.
So what happens is when you get free T3, it is one of the markers for thyroid. Whenever you look at that, we want it to be, 3.0 or above. Ideally, it's kind of a snapshot of someone's metabolism. If someone's T3 is like a 2.1, for example, that means that your metabolic rate is slow. So fat loss is a lot harder. Fat gain's a lot easier. Well, sometimes to find out why it's that low, you look at reverse T3. And what happens is when someone's highly, highly stressed, your body takes the usable T3 and it tries to slow you down because you're stressed. So it takes T3 and it slows you down and makes the non-usable reverse T3. So it slows your metabolic rate down, your T3 drops, and your reverse T3 will generally, if somebody's listening and they're looking at labs right now, you'll see a range of, anywhere from 5 to 6 all the way up to 22, I think is the top of the range. I like to see that at 12 or lower. Anything that starts getting up there at 14, 19 is really bad. I saw a 26 one time.
Ooh.
That shows that somebody is highly, highly stressed. And if I see that number is super elevated, I know dieting is going to be extremely hard from them. So then going back to what we just talked about, so what do I do? That's where I take the lifestyle stuff and I'm like, hey, how much sleep are you getting? Are you drinking any alcohol? Let's eliminate that for a bit. Are you over exercising and under eating? Right now, we need to stop just for let's fix things, right? Let's raise your calories to maintenance or raise them a little. Let's stop all the cardio. Let's work out 3 to 4 times a week. We've got to de-stress the body. And then it takes a while. And it's so hard because people don't want to slow down. Like they don't. I just had a conversation with one of our people out here in our gym at headquarters about slowing down and getting more sleep. And that's really the only way to kind of fix that scenario. But if someone's reverse T3 is really high, it's just fat loss is going to be brutal and fat gain's a lot easier. And I see it more with women because guys seem to be more hormonally resilient. We can handle stress a little bit better. Females' hormones are so fragile and they just seem to get hit with this a lot more than guys.
Yeah, and I think the female diet culture is way worse than guys.
You
Right?
know,
Historically, if I'm doing an intake, it's sad to say, but 9 times out of 10, if someone did a crash diet and did crazy things, it's unfortunately 90% it's females.
yeah. And I think guys like us, we've been around so long, you know, before we even looked at labs or intake forms, like that was just, I think before we even kind of got started, that was just the norm. Like women
Oh
just
yeah.
had all this pressure on them. Back in the day, it was, you have to look like this lady on Oxygen magazine. And now with social media, you take that billion times as much and you have to compare yourself to all, like all women feel all this pressure. Where us as guys, like, all right, if we're gonna get a little fluffy and fill the t-shirt out, that's all right. We'll wear a t-shirt, be a little bigger. But women are just constantly in that state to where they feel like they have to diet, which really just crushes their hormones.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen this, but I call it like I need a better name, but I just call it like the poor stress trifecta of high reverse T3. If you do a lactate, they're usually spinning off lactate at rest, like sitting there talking to you, sometimes 2, 3, 4 millimolar, like not exercising. And their HRV is like complete dog crap. So like
Yeah.
to me, that's like you're pushed so far into glycolysis and your body is trying as hard as it can to try to produce some form of energy under this high stress condition, and it's just struggling.
Yeah, and I love that because you're one of the first people. Matter of fact, you are the first person that I ever heard bring HRV kind of into my world, and that was
Yeah, I did. You invited me to do a whole presentation on it. That was back in the day,
yeah,
man.
Physique Summit, 2016 here in
Yeah.
Missouri. You spoke on it, and at the time I was like, man, what the hell is HRV? I didn't even know what that is. I was confused, and you know, you were early to some in our industry. You were
Oh yeah, for
early
sure.
to it for sure. So you know, now you're the foremost expert. But you know, comparing those three things that you just said, a lot of people don't understand how that ties to dieting and why dieting might be harder. And you know, I try and look at things from an insulin sensitivity standpoint.
Sure.
So, you know, if someone's highly stressed, well, usually blood sugar stays elevated, which means insulin stays elevated to try and drive it down. So it might make your caloric deficit have to be lower than it normally would if your cortisol wasn't just so chronically high all the time. And there are people out here in our space. I don't want to name names. Some of them are PhDs, very well respected, and they don't believe in the hormones versus the calories in, calories out debate. And I don't see how anyone can ever debate that. If your hormones are out of whack and cortisol is chronically high, it affects your calories in, calories out. It doesn't mean that you can't lose weight. It
Right.
just means that normally your CECO, you know, for short, just has to be lower than it normally would. So it 100% affects it. I just think there's such a large gap that still needs to be bridged between understanding those two things.
Yeah, I think of it as, just gonna make sure my phone's off here, is I call it the white knuckle factor. It's, yeah, if your hormones are screwed and you're like that last case we just talked about where your HRV is dog crap, your reverse T3 is high, your insulin sensitivity is all over the place. You measure your C-peptide, it's sky high, right? So a marker for 24-hour insulin. Could you, by the laws of physics, still lose weight and improve your body comp? Yeah. But man, is your life going to absolutely completely suck? And you probably have a job, you probably have other responsibilities. Are you going to be able to white knuckle it that long? And to me, as a coach, to just tell someone, oh, yeah, calories only in and out matter, just, Karen, just try harder. It's like the worst advice.
It is, which stresses them out more, right?
Yeah.
The body under more stress. You know what, the thing is, I think this is why Tirzepatide has become so popular.
Oh, for sure.
In our world, because of its ability to help clean up insulin sensitivity, but also the person in that situation, their inflammation's going to be high,
Yep.
right? It may not be super, we don't know unless that's measured, but it's going to be elevated. And it does a really good job of lowering, helping insulin sensitivity and lowering inflammation, which lets someone start to lose weight again without changing anything else. And I still try and treat the underlying conditions as far as, hey, you need to sleep, stop drinking alcohol.
Oh, for sure.
I mentioned earlier, but Tirzepatide goes in there and it does move the needle. I like to use it kind of as a last case resort of somebody that they just, they're stressed. There's nothing their job sucks. Their wife just had a kid. Like they're trying to do whatever it is they're trying to do. Tirzepatide does help at a microdose. I like 10 to 12 units a week is what we like to do. Not these big, the obese people that are just sitting on the couch, taking it, not exercising and eating potato chips and stuff like that. That low dose seems to really help move the needle. But still, at the end of the day, if people aren't fixing the underlying issues that are causing that, I would say it's quote unquote sickness or that unhealthy body, it's still, even that's not going to help. That stuff has to be the highest priority. And I think people are still just throwing things like the GLPs right at it without fixing what's wrong.
Thoughts on this? My thought is that GLPs, if you pick 1, 2, or potentially 3 in the future, whatever one you pick, I feel like it is going to be the TRT of the future. Meaning, I think, for better or worse, most people, especially probably not getting the best help, probably not working with a trainer or coach, are going to go on some GLP. It's going to work for them. They will feel better. Like the health markers will probably improve. And then they're going to try to go off. They don't have any new habits. They probably maybe lost some muscle mass. They definitely lost performance, lost aerobic because they just weren't training. They don't have any of the habits in place. Instead of hiring someone to help them, they'll realize they can't do it. They're going to go back on and they're just going to be like, well, I'm just going to stay on the rest of my life.
And we don't even know what that looks like.
And we have no idea what implications there are for that because we don't have that long-term data yet.
Yeah, which is scary. People think short term and they think, oh, this will be fine. I mean, that scares the shit out of me. I'm not going to lie. So I personally use it 3 months on, 3 months off to help with insulin sensitivity, just due to some really bad cholesterol, genetically high cholesterol that I have. So one of the things I can't control is that. I can take meds to control my cholesterol, but then it throws everything else out of whack. My insulin sensitivity goes really like 110 blood sugar. That I should never be that guy. So that's what my cholesterol meds do. So I don't take them anymore because the last thing I want to do is control for cholesterol just to become pre-diabetic, right?
Yeah.
So my point is, I take Tirzepatide 3 months on, 3 months off to at least try and manage insulin sensitivity and inflammation because, for a healthy heart, you don't want high inflammation. So that's something, if you're going to have high cholesterol, at least try and control for inflammation as much as you can. But even then I'm just like, oh, what about these people that are just staying on long-term? What about me if I'm using it twice a year? I don't know what that's going to look like. We don't know. No one does out there. So I think that scenario that you mentioned, I think it's much more than just the Gen Pop community that's not going to exercise. I think it's going to be abused at large. I already know this is happening in the bodybuilding world for prep.
Oh,
yeah. No one's prepping without Tirzepatide because when you can shut off food noise and hunger, at least to some extent, dieting becomes so easy. And it is so easy right now with Tirzepatide. At a microdose, it's easy. So it's going to be the most, and I wouldn't say that's an abuse of it. I'm just going to say people are going to use it way more than they even know what it's going to cause years down the road. So there's a lot of money that's being made right now in the medical community. I mean, we're making a lot of money on it, right? But we're using it the way it needs to be used. There's places they're going to hand it out like candy, and they have been for a long time.
Yeah. On the other hand, it is fascinating to me. Like I've said this before, if you would have asked me 5 years ago, even, and said, hey, you know what? 5 years from now, 2025, or even before that, we're for the population, not just a diabetic population, we're going to have drugs that are so effective at crushing appetite that people will start having muscle loss and will basically be crash dieting themselves because the drugs are so effective at crushing your appetite. I would have said, no way, I will never see that in my lifetime. That is, appetite is so multifactorial, redundant. The fact that you could do that to general population people who are not exercising, I'm like, that's insane. And that's like where we're at now, kind of.
You know, it's if you just look at everything, how fast everything happens now. I mean, obviously, to look at AI, right?
Yeah,
AI is an amazing tool when used the right way, but you know, I mean, look just how fast everything's happening. It's the same with medications. We're coming out with a lot of things, and part of me wonders, you know, what's let's look at the two evils of the situation. If we didn't have these GLP-1s, our obesity rate would probably just keep going at an
sure.
alarming rate. Or if you have people that abuse these, they're not going to be as obese. They're going to suffer some muscle loss. You know, what's that going to do to their metabolic rate and hormones and stuff like that down the road? But they're not going to be as obese. I don't know. I don't know. That's why it seems everything always comes back to you need to exercise and count your food and be healthy. And sometimes some of these things will help aid in that stuff. There's always that middle ground, not the extremes, you know?
Yeah. And I keep thinking, like, how how much, sort of like the fancy word is like a tachyphylaxis, or how much tolerance, or how adapt to these drugs over time. So, for example, if someone's been on them for 1, 2, 3, 4 years, do they keep have to increasing the dose to take it? Do they become less effective? Do you eventually end up with a population that unfortunately now was lost weight, now gained weight, and now is still on a drug that they've just built up a tolerance to? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, we don't know. We don't know what that tolerance is. Like I know some people taking, you know, that don't do what we do. They don't live the lifestyle we live. They're taking 50 units a week. That's absolutely
Crazy.
insane. I took 20 once by accident because I'm an old man and 10 units a week is my microdose. I'm an old man and took it and then I forgot that I took it and then took it again and my stomach felt awful.
Yeah.
I just felt ugh. And I'm like, well, I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, but someone built up to that, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like I think about this, you know, metformin, right? Like metformin can be very useful. Like it's, you know, no one really uses that anymore because you've got tirzepatide, but over
Hmm.
time, like you build up a tolerance to that, so you have to keep increasing it. And then it gets to the point to where, you know, you take it at, you know, 2000, you know, milligrams a day or higher, like you're going to get diarrhea and you're going to have all these other issues, right? Not really anything else worse than that, but I mean, that's bad. No one
Yeah.
wants diarrhea.
The GI effects.
Yeah. So it's like, what do? Well, you've got to scale it back or come off of it and reset and do those things. I would imagine this drug is probably like that. There's probably good. That's why I don't have any issues with 3 months on, 3 months off. I've never had any issues, any side effects. I'd be curious to see if I just stayed on it for a year, what that would look like. I mean, I'm never going to find out, but
Yeah.
there's got to be some kind of way to come off and then go back on to keep its effects.
Yeah. Because I was just thinking in the back of my head, like, there is no free lunch in physiology. Like
Mhm.
there's always a cost somewhere. And when we don't know what those costs are and everything just appears to have only these magical benefits, it just makes me worried that we don't know. I mean, look at how many old drugs were like, oh yeah, we thought it did this, it actually does that. Even
Yeah.
metformin is an incredibly old drug. There's still debate about, well, does it actually interfere with their different parts of the electron transport chain? Most people would say yes, but one of the lead researchers who studied it his whole life says no, because the dose you need to have that happen in humans is way too high. No one hits that dose anyway. So you're like, okay, if that guy's right, then how the hell is the thing working? And this is a drug that's what, how many decades old?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. We're in interesting times.
Yeah, but I don't think any of these are are going away. And there's also not an incentive from a pharmaceutical company to do long-term studies on it, right? So you're left with, okay, maybe NIH or these other companies, or not companies, but government could spend money looking at long-term ramifications, but we slashed all the funding to NIH and all these other places that would have the capacity and the money, which are extremely expensive, to do long-term studies. So we're kind of running the long-term study on ourselves right now, which I don't know. Nobody seems to be too worried about that. And it makes me worried, I guess. Maybe I'm just a weirdo that, I haven't done any TRT. I haven't done any peptides. And I'm not saying I'm against them or anything like that, other than I did some combo in Costa Rica a few times, which is its own weird shit. But yeah, I don't know. It just makes me nervous.
Yeah. Hopefully it comes out to be, it's obviously way different than TRT, but in the right situations, used the right way, TRT is life-changing for an individual. So
for sure.
in 2019, my total testosterone was 190. On my body, I was so stressed from years of dieting, running 2 gyms, just running everywhere ragged, that my testosterone when I was 40, it just would not, 42, it would not come back up no matter what I did. I tried everything. So it was life-changing. As soon as I went on, I used such a low dose of 120 milligrams a week. A lot of places were like, here, just take 200 milligrams a week. If I did that, I'd probably weigh 240 pounds and look like a gorilla, and my sex drive would never shut off.
Yeah.
Pressure be sky high. There's a right way to use it. And I think, someone like me at 120 milligrams a week, my total testosterone is about 750 to 800.
Yeah,
my free
nice.
testosterone is actually at the top. Like it's really well, because these days I make my own schedule. I sleep 9 hours a night if I need to, right?
Me too. Yeah.
But that's a very good place to be. And I think, when people use things those ways when they need to, I don't feel so bad about. You know what I mean? Like you said,
and testosterone's an old drug. Like, we've got very good data on testosterone. So I agree. I think in those situations when we have a drug that's that old, that's been used that much, that has so much data, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, but I'm right there with you. It is scary, but for me, I'm going to keep using it, because what's scarier is to know that my inflammation can be high,
Sure,
my heart and things like that, and my joints. And we're all kind of early adopters when stuff comes out. Usually, bodybuilders are the super early adopters.
Oh yeah,
they're the ones that take everything and mess shit up for us. But we'll just have to watch closely.
Yeah, but to me that sounds like an intelligent discussion, right? Of, okay, I don't really know the long-term cost of this, but I do have observed these are, this compound is very beneficial for these certain factors. Okay, cool. That makes sense to me. Like, you're looking at, here's your output, here's a cost. I don't know what's going on. It's also why I don't like a lot of TRT clinics, because, as you know, you go in and they just do a measurement. Oh, bro, you're low. You need to be on this ridiculously high dose. Like, they don't ask any questions about your lifestyle. They don't check any other hormones. They don't look at LH. They don't look at any other of these factors. And also, rarely do they tell you that, oh, by the way, there's a certain percentage of people who go on TRT that their natural production just shuts off, doesn't ever really come back online. That's not everyone. That's not a high percentage, but, maybe single digits, somewhere in there, that if you do this, you might be one of those unfortunate people where you may have to do this the rest of your life also. It just seems like nobody wants to have a intelligent conversation about something that you could be doing the rest of your life if you go down that route. Again, I'm not saying nobody should do it. I'm not saying that it's bad. Again, it feels like everything moves so fast. No one wants to have an intelligent conversation. I sound like some old ranty person about get off my lawn now.
Yeah, but you know what? It's clinics like that just turn people. They're a transaction, right?
Oh, of course they are.
They'll never build successful businesses. They'll be able to have a quick turn and burn business, and maybe they're slightly successful, but to build something extraordinary, you have that conversation with your patients, you educate them, and actually help fix whatever problems they need fixed. And those people go out and they spread the word and grow the business for you, word of mouth, right? So a lot of this stuff we'll do is, so for example, I've got a client, he's a younger guy. his testosterone's low. I have not been able to do anything in 2 years to get it up. He's an entrepreneur. And, Dr. Brandon, I had him meet with him, and clomiphene is going to be what he starts with instead, because that can get his levels back up. If he ever wants to come back off and try to restore natural levels, that's a good first step, right? So that's an option that we have instead of just throwing TRT right at somebody, because there's more money to be made with testosterone.
Yeah.
So it's when you help people and fix them, that's when you can grow something. It goes above and beyond just kind of a turn and burn type of business. And that's why we take our time with each person. And that's how we're growing really is that word of mouth, because you take care of people like that. You have that intelligent conversation.
Yeah. And I think eventually it's just like my pet peeve about people who pick trainers. Like, you're like, that guy or gal they look like they're in shape. I'm like, okay, have you talked to them? Do you know anyone they've trained? Do you know anything about them other than, oh, looks like they have abs?
Yeah.
Right. I don't think anything in the industry wide changes until the consumer actually is educated and starts demanding a better service. Starts saying, oh, I'm not going to just take a trainer as a weekend certification. I'm going to ask them about what is their experience. Do they have any degrees? How long have they been doing it? What do they work? And then take it as like a serious conversation. Same with hormone replacement. If I tell people, I'm like, if you go in, the first thing they do is run testosterone only and tell you it's low and you only need TRT, just close the door and run away.
Yeah. There's so many bad actors out there. They're just, and unfortunately, patients, customers, whatever business they're in, a lot of that's on them too, because they enable, because they don't do due diligence and ask the questions that need. And sometimes people just don't know. And that's
of course.
But in our world, in the training world, oh, it's bad. Joe Bro over here is running everything under the sun that just is jacked out of his mind, gets all these clients and literally gives them a cookie cutter, here's your cookie cutter diet that I give to everybody else. And here's your anabolics too. They're going to get you the results you want. And you get the same, like, people, they don't ask the right questions, where someone like us, I want them to come ask the questions.
Yeah.
Because that enables me to sell myself, because I can say, hey, here's what I would do for you. But a lot of that's on people too. So it allows the bad actors, they'll always be in business. And it's whether it's this or the supplement industry is bad. Like, it's just people set themselves up for failure sometimes.
Yeah. And some people are not really so much as a coach as they are a drug dealer, which sounds horrible to say, but
yeah,
it happens.
Yeah. 100%. It's rampant.
So, changing gears a little bit, talk to me about peptides. That seems to be like the wild west of it now. And I was saying before the podcast, I won't name any names, but I, in the past, have used BPC 157, probably starting about 6 years ago, different forms of, TV 500. It was through a physician who was able to get legit material. So I would refer him over to him. He was super nice, helped me out. And the interesting part was 60% of the people were like, oh my God, this is like the best thing that has ever happened for my, insert injury thing here. 40% were like, I don't know, I didn't notice any difference at all. And it was, again, different people, different injuries, different things. But as far as I could tell, legitimate material, similar protocols from someone who had a high level of experience doing it. But yet it was just crazy to me over many years how I saw just such disparaging differences.
Yeah. I think a lot of this is because the quote unquote research industry that's out there, where people can just go on places like Peptide Science or Amino Asylum, or, a lot of these places get shut down left and right. You can only buy stuff from there if you Venmo their money in, right? These are all red flags. Places like that, the material that they're going to get, the stuff they're getting, it's almost never, ever 100% pure. It just isn't. There's no testing on it. It's the Wild West, and it's a lot cheaper for a reason. It's a lot cheaper for a reason. So it's like going to Walmart to buy whey protein. They're using WPC 34, like the most rot gut ingredient for protein. Of course, it's $21 a ton, but you're also going to sprint to the bathroom after you drink it, right? that's kind of what these research companies are like with, all these different peptides that you can get. So with ours, and by the way, and that's why people aren't seeing the results that they should get. I had a client that was using Tirzepatide. They said they got it from, I think it was Amino Asylum or wherever. Yeah, my hunger's not changed at all. I'm like, that's because the shit you bought is from one of these research places. Get it from your physician. Like that's the best way to do it. So I think there's a lot of that are giving peptides a bad name because of the bad actors out there.
Oh, for sure. There's been published data on that going back many years that the vast majority of the peptides that were sold, I can't remember, I think one of the studies said up to 85% that they tested. There was either no peptide in it or it wasn't effective at all. And then you're injecting some of it. You're like, oh, I hope the shit's sterile at least,
Exactly, which is scary. Nobody cares. So
Yeah.
Nick Mayer, who owns Light Labs, and he also owns the biggest bone broth protein company in the world, Kettle Fire.
Oh, Kettle on Fire.
Yeah, Kettle on Fire. So I
Yeah.
met him at Supply Side Global.
Oh, cool.
The reason he's getting ready to be on our podcast again soon. So he started a testing company called Light Labs, and we're going to try and start using them for both companies. And one of the things he told me, and I think that was exactly what you just said, around 85% of all the research stuff out there is bunk, literally 85%. Yet people, and I made a post on it, and people still are just out there buying it up. It's, man, what are you doing? So going back to the actual legitimate stuff that you get from like my clinic or your physician or wherever, that stuff's all tested. It comes from a legit pharmacy. It's controlled. I've seen great results when people are using, both forms of BPC 157. Oral, if someone has like gut issues, the oral is great for that. It's not great for like joints and connective tissue and injuries and stuff like that. And then the injectable, of course, for, whatever injuries you have. But also, I think the people that say, I'm not really getting the results that I need, sometimes you have to lay off that area that you're trying to get fixed, and people don't. They just take the BPC 157 and inject it, and CrossFitters are the worst, right? I know this is my wife's CrossFitter. She, they just keep going, and you're hitting your shoulders every day with those workouts almost, right? 5 days a week. So sometimes you got to scale back. I think there are things that get lost in translation, but as long as you're using a good pharmaceutical dose and everything's coming from your practitioner, yeah, those things are game changing, 100%.
Yeah, and it's also crazy to me that if you look at the animal studies, so if we just pick on BPC 157, there's some pretty impressive animal studies. And I think I can only find 2 human subject studies, and then one of them was for knee pain, but it was a direct, basically injection into the joint space done by a physician, and that did show an improvement in it. Yeah, so it's fascinating to me how we still have very little human data. And I talked to a researcher that I might be helping her with, possibly, who knows, hey, can we run an actual study through a legit university on it? And we had a peptide company who was going to sponsor it by basically just, donating material. They kind of backed out at the last minute because they're like, well, if we sponsor it, what if it does turn out to be potentially positive? And we're, let's say, one of these hypothetically research companies. Now we actually have human data showing that it is beneficial.
Yeah.
Does the FDA now reschedule that and say, well, I don't know, this is looking like this may actually work? And then trying to get IRB approval on something that is still kind of a research compound. They're like, well, where's the human use? We need to see safety. We need to see some of these other things, which 100% I totally agree with. And then you're like, well, look at all these animal models.
Yeah. Right.
But yet in the meantime, people are still going to use it. And we're left with the question of, I don't know, let's go off of anecdotal reports. Maybe that's like kind of the best we have.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, interesting times, right? I think this is so interesting.
Yeah. And I think I'm for peptides and whatever people want to do, as long as they're educated, can get legit material. But it just seems like it's the wild, wild west of the claims are vastly outstripping the evidence. And I don't see any emphasis on any more evidence coming out, which is also not to say in lieu of evidence, like we just don't really know what some of the effects are. And so you're back to almost, physique and bodybuilder people doing self experiments, and now they're putting it on social media instead of forums like they were back in the day. That's their new form of data.
Yeah, it just absolutely drives me. It drives me batshit crazy. It can be dangerous. Like it can really be
Oh, for
dangerous.
sure.
If something's not sterile, like it can be extremely dangerous.
So how do you ensure that the peptides you're getting are actually legitimate? Because I think that's one of at least for me, if I get called in to advise people, I'm like, hey, I can't tell you yay or nay. It's a medical decision. You have to decide that. However, I can tell you if I were to experiment with these on my own pet rat, I would definitely make sure that the thing that I think I'm getting is actually the thing. So like how would people know that if I'm going to order BPC 157, how do I know it's BPC 157?
Yeah. Well, one, it needs to come from your medical practitioner, no matter what. And
You
then
mean not off the internet somewhere?
it a lot of these places you have to be careful because I've heard of places that are sending out research grade peptides. They're getting them cheap wholesale and they're selling them. I don't really think that's happening a lot anymore because everything's kind of been cracked down on a
Yeah.
lot. And I'm kind of hoping this year we see a lot of these sites shut down. But if you're getting them site, so say through us, right? It's going to come from a legit pharmacy. You can look that pharmacy up online to make sure it's a legit pharmacy, like Genesis or Lakeway or whatever, and have the conversation with your doctor's office or your clinic office and say, hey, where is this? If you want to know, ask, where is this stuff coming from? And we will tell you. So there's nothing to hide there. Whether someone can see like a COA on that part, I'd have to ask my partners. I don't know that. I don't know who we can give access to COAs or if, what we see on our end. I'm sure because I don't deal with that on my end. I push the clinic, I bring clients, I do all that. Like the actual medical laws and rules and the way everything runs with the company, like it's too confusing for me. So I wish I knew that answer, but I do know that we have a way to verify everything that we get has a COA, it has a use by date, like all these different things. I have a bottle of injectable L-carnitine somewhere. And I think that came from anyway, it's got lot numbers, it's got all that stuff on there, right? A lot of these
you have full traceability.
Yeah. And so just do your homework. And if you need to, just ask the place that you're getting it from. Like just ask. And if they won't give you any answers, something's not right. But most places are legit.
Yeah, and that's like the same thing I tell people with the supplement industry all the time. If you call and ask questions, and I get it, there are people who are busy who are overworked in the supplement industry. So if they don't get back to you, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're harmful or they're trying to do you harm. But most bigger companies are going to try to follow the best case practices because they have a whole bunch of stuff to lose. Smaller companies aren't necessarily bad. It just means that if they disappear into Fiji tomorrow, well, that was kind of the way it went. And most of people, as you well know better than I do, if you are doing it the right way, they want to tell you what they're doing because it's more expensive, it's more time intensive. And the crazy part is I've heard from people that have put little like QR codes and scannability on products and had it on their website. The amount of people they say who click through on that is like almost non-existent.
Yeah.
So to me, it still seems like there is some onus on the consumer to do their homework at the end of the day.
I agree 100%. And I'll say this about peptides too. Peptides are not cheap, right? So I look at it in this fashion. If you wanted to buy a very nice sports car, you want to buy a Lexus or $100,000 car, this is $100,000 car. It's not meant to be for everybody to be able to afford, right? Because the demand is not high enough to help drive that price down. So like this is $100,000 to $150,000 car for those people that can afford it. You wouldn't go buy some car that was a knockoff built at Billy Bob's garage down the street. And they say, yeah, this is a sports car, but we got the parts from here and there. We put it like it's still a sports car. Like you wouldn't and spend $40,000 for it versus $150,000. That's research grade. versus actual pharmaceutical grade. You 100% get what you pay for. And I can say that till I'm blue in the face, but it's the same with supplements. Like you can go buy Walmart protein or you can buy our isolate that has 0 carbs, 0 fat, 25 protein per scoop with 4 ingredients. You can't compare the two. Like you're going to pay more for that for quality. So that's just the thing on peptides. It actually pisses me off, Mike. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of my biggest pet peeves out there because people know better, but they just still keep doing it, which enables all this shit to keep happening.
Yeah. And that is my pet peeve, or one thing I keep trying to pound into people, is that at the end of the day, you're responsible for yourself. If you're going to put this and decide to put this into your body, which I agree, you 100% should have the right to do that. I don't think that should be taken away, but it's your responsibility to do some of your own sourcing to figure out what is best, or ask other people who, that can help you with that. And then a shocker, you can't expect it to be dirt cheap then either.
Exactly. Exactly.
Just a couple more things here. What peptides do you think are effective? And the second part to that, what peptides do you think are kind of under the radar that you think potentially could be useful but are not popular?
I'm going to just tell myself here, I am not a peptide expert. I'm kind of late to this, right? Things like GLPs, I'm very up to speed on. BPC 157. Outside of that, TB 500, like outside of those basic ones, there's interesting stuff out there like AOD.
Yeah.
Stuff like I'm just not educated on, because our guy Brandon is our peptide expert, literally one of the world's one of the smartest people I know out of everyone else that I followed in the world on peptides. He's right up there with him as far as knowledge. So I'm just not up to speed. I don't know what's one that people need to watch out for. I think on the GLP side, retatrutide is going to be interesting to see once it's widely available. But I know going from semaglutide to tirzepatide, the massive changes, way less side effects and things like that. Man, that's just such a good product. And then when retatrutide is at scale, it's going to be so expensive. Tirzepatide is going to still be the go-to because it's going to be more affordable, right?
Yep.
I think the farther we get away from semaglutide, the better. I absolutely can't stand that one because it slows digestion. It really just has some nasty side effects, but it was Gen 1, right? Like we improve on everything as we go, or else what's the point, right? So as far as anything else, I wish I had more for you. I just don't. I'm not one ready to say, hey, it's not my area, because it's just not. And a lot of my clients aren't using a ton of peptides, right? So I haven't had to really get in there and learn it.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at too. I have on my little list of stuff, I'm trying to go through all the research on certain types of peptides and different things, because it doesn't take that long, because shocker, a lot of times there isn't that much research to actually read. So it doesn't take too long to kind of get through it. But yeah, I'm at the same area. Like I have a couple experts I refer people out to, and even then I'll take their data and be like, okay, so if you go the kitchen sink route that was just recommended, that's up to you. But if you want to understand, is this or that can be beneficial, let's pick one, let's try it, let's see what the effects are, and then, kind of go from there. Because I've seen in consults, what some people are spending on, God knows if they're even legitimate peptides. And I'm like, bro, for all the mitochondrial enhancers you're shoving into your body, like your VO2 max is 24. How about we do some aerobic training, man?
Yeah. Let's get the basics down, right? I think a good guest for you to have on would be Brandon Williams, our guy, Brandon Williams, to talk peptides.
Oh, cool.
I think you guys he's very much like you. I just think you guys would hit it off. Highly intelligent. I think he'd be a great guest for your podcast. There are some other things out there that I really like a lot. Methylene blue is something that I think, I know we're
No, what do you think of that? I had methylene blue and I also had injectable L-carnitine were the next two questions.
Yeah. So methylene blue, I like quite a bit. Just for mitochondrial, I would say cleaning, right? It's kind of like taking a battery and letting it get recharged better. You know how our cell phones, you have them for 2 to 3 years and the battery just loses its charge a lot faster and stuff like that. I like when somebody's been through like a really tough phase, stress, dieting, whatever, and we do a quote unquote cleanup phase. I like that there
Hmm.
to get a little bit more energy, help the mitochondrial engine function a little bit better, your battery operate just a little bit better. So I like that. And then injectable L-carnitine, I'm a massive fan of. Massive,
Hmm.
massive, massive. I can't find a downside to it. It improves lipid panels quite a bit, actually. The energy that you get from it's amazing.
Yeah, I've heard that from several BJJ friends and athletes and people I've worked with who have used it.
Yeah, it's just an instant shot of energy. Whenever I put on our fat muscle event, we had 100 people here and a bunch of speakers, and you know how it is when you're at events, and if you're in charge of something. I was just dragging, not a lot of sleep, a lot of stress. I would take 1 cc, which was 500 milligrams in the morning, and at least would give me some more energy outside of the food I was eating and stuff like that. Great for fat loss. It improves the androgen receptor, so the testosterone and the other
Yeah.
hormones that you're using. It improves that, not massively, but it improves it some. So every little bit helps. I just have not found the downside is it sucks because you got to give yourself an injection every day.
No,
And it
I'm
doesn't
afraid of
feel good.
needles.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. And
I'm
it's
such
one,
a wuss.
well, and it's got to be in the muscle. It can't be under the
Yeah,
skin
I
because
am.
1 cc is a lot of fluids, right? So and it doesn't always feel good. Like you're gonna poke yourself in the ass. Like that part's not the bad part, but the injection of a lot of these, whatever they are, medications into the muscle, they just don't always feel great. But you get over it and it gets done quite, and then you're off to it. That's the downside. People get injection fatigue. That's the name of it, right? But I mean, we all go through pill fatigue when we're taking
Sure.
supplements. And just the last thing I want to see is a bunch of pills right now. I've got a whole bunch behind me, right? I've not taken for a month because I had pill fatigue. So other than that, injectable carnitine is awesome. We have it. Um, we have it for $99. So I do
That
a
seems like a
lot of
good
my
price.
clients are getting, yeah, I'm just gonna be honest, we're making $20 on that because I needed it for my clients. We could try and sell for $200, but you get less people buy it. I needed it at scale for my clients because it really, really helps with fat loss. Natural competitors can use it. It's just a prescription.
Hmm.
So people inside the states that we treat, Missouri, Texas, Florida, Arkansas, Illinois, and working on Oklahoma, that was the sixth. My clients in those states, they can get it for $99 and it ships out and it's to them. So it's been a game changer. That was one of the big things I wanted to bring on board whenever we came in, but we just kept the price down so low because we knew it was something good and we needed to get it out to people. So we kept the price down.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And as we wrap up, like, what was your common dose on methylene blue? I've seen everything across the board. Any
I
agreement from anyone?
I have not seen any issues with any of the doses, right? And it depends on where you get it because I mean you can go on Amazon and get stuff it's probably freaking
Oh, a fishbowl cleaner.
yeah, rubbed out, right? Who knows? Um, 30 milligrams a day, I think is fine
Mm,
during cleanup phase.
okay.
A lot of people like to say 1 day on, 1 day off. I think it really depends on where the person's at, what they need to do and how fast of an amount of time. So I've not seen over 30 milligrams a day. Have you used it? Did you say that
I have. I bought some. I first used it, God, a long time ago. And I got too chicken shit and I stopped using it, to be honest. And then after it started becoming more popular again, I bought some pharmaceutical grade and I just started with a low dose. And I don't know, I get kind of a weird headache. Like I don't feel as good when I start getting above even just 8 to 10 milligrams.
yeah.
And the weird part is like, if I stay below that dose, I don't notice anything. Like the only time I notice something is maybe if I've really just beat the crap out of myself and I'm taking a day off from training and everything,
Yeah.
maybe, but I did it for almost like 3 weeks in a row. Maybe I didn't do a high enough dose. Who knows? I was doing 5 to 6 mgs per day. I didn't notice anything from it, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty low.
Yeah.
I pulled one out of my bag that I keep here to show people as an example of the stuff you want to avoid, right? So it's an empty bottle. This is called, I don't think we'll get in trouble for saying other companies' names on here. I don't think anybody's coming after you for this, but like
Probably
this
not.
is NeuroPro. I don't even, you get this on Amazon for $49. There's absolutely no way I would want someone to use this and use the benchmark of, 30 milligrams from this, because you don't even know. There's, you know
Yeah,
what I
especially if it's a
mean?
liquid, you got another concentration.
Yeah, these are these tablets? Yes, these are tablets.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
15 milligram tablets, 60 pills in here. So it's probably a month's worth for somebody doing a quick cleanup phase, but you don't even know how powerful this is versus, when you get the actual capsules, whenever you get a prescription, you know what I mean? You can go with that. And maybe somebody starts off with 15 with the prescription daily and they try that. I think it just depends on where they're at, just how hard they've, really been hitting it.
Yeah, that's on my list. I keep looking at the research and stuff on it, and there is some interesting long-term safety data. There is obviously clinical uses for it. It's been around for quite a while. It was one of the things I heard 6 years ago that I thought was the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life, but it kept kind of showing up on my radar again. And I don't know. It's interesting. I'm having a physician on here to talk a little bit more about it coming up. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I'd like to listen to that. The thing is, it's literally the first drug ever created from what I've
Oh yeah, it's an old
studied,
drug
like
in terms of human use.
1890s or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So funny story too. I took it one morning, totally forgot that I had taken a little bit higher dose and was using the bathroom. And I was like, oh, my wife was using some new toilet bowl cleaner because the toilets, whenever I take a whiz in them, are blue. And
Yeah.
then
That's
the same thing happened the next day. And then I realized, oh, yeah, dumbass, you're taking methylene blue. It's not new toilet cleaner. It's urine's blue.
that's always every time I do a run of it, which is only like maybe once or twice a year. That's typically what I'll see. And I'm like, oh crap, what's happening? And then yes, you're gonna pee. You're gonna pee like a light greenish blue. It throws people off.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Anything else we missed or anything else you wanted to throw in at the end here?
No, I think, man, I need to have you back on my podcast, on the Fat Muscle Project
Yeah, for
podcast.
sure.
I would definitely get Brandon on. He's good to talk about peptides. And I think though, like 2 years is too long. I think we need to both hop back and forth on each other's
Yeah,
podcast.
that'd be great.
There needs to be some more speaking events and things of that nature where we all just kind of get together. I think HRV is a topic that we need to hear more of in my part of the industry, the bodybuilding side of it, because you know how it is, like things come and go, like something's hot and then everybody learns about it and then it kind of goes away for a while. I feel like it's back to, we need to reiterate this, so I think that's an important topic that I'd like to hear that come back more into the industry. There's always going to be a new crop of people coming up that need to learn. It's kind of like talking about carb cycling. Like the last thing I ever want to talk about how to carb cycle or do a refeed. But I have to remember there are a lot of new people that don't know how to carb cycle and refeed somebody, right? So I think there's just important stuff that you and I have to put out, and we need to do a better job of staying connected, versus every 2 years.
Yeah, it's funny. I was laughing at the carb cycling because I just did a podcast series with John Heck. So he was on my show and I was on his show about carb cycling. And I realized as I was talking about a lot of this stuff, like I realized, oh, I have been doing this for God knows how many years, but I haven't talked about it in detail all that much because until we started talking with him, and I was like, oh yeah, because most everyone knows this, and you're like, no, they don't know it. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Yeah. I'll get with you after this. I know we need to get you scheduled on my show. So
Yeah, awesome. And last question, any good music I should be checking out?
oh man, so you and I are the people listening may not be like us, but Paleface Swiss is my
Yeah, I like those guys. Yeah, they're good. Yeah.
Paleface Swiss. And then I heard something new the other day. It's funny we're talking about steroid sound. Like it's a little bit different. It's kind of like just upbeat meets metal workout music. Kind of a Rob Bailey / Heat Breedish. Like it's a little different. It's called Steroid Sound. So Yeah, check those out.
Okay. Anyone else who's checking?
You always hit me up with good music, and as soon as you do, I go check it out and work out to it, which is what I'm about to do. You've hit me with a couple good bands here lately that I've got on my list to go listen to, so I'm about to dig in.
Nice. Yeah, lately I've been listening to a lot of older stuff. The last Obituary album is actually really good. Took me a little while to get into it. Not the last Prong album, but the one before that. I think it's No Absolutes. It's actually really good. And then I'm a big fan of the Browning, if you like kind of metal EDM-ish kind of,
Yeah.
a little bit more harsh vocals. Like I've been a big fan of them as of late. So yeah.
Yeah, good stuff, man.
Cool, man. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Flex Diet podcast. Big thanks to John Gorman for being on the podcast here again. Really appreciate all his knowledge and wisdom, especially from being in the fitness industry in various aspects, doing it day to day for many, many years. Make sure to check out all his stuff there. We'll put links and everything down below. If you want more information from me, check out my daily newsletter. You can go to the link down below and hop on to the newsletter completely free, and they'll send you some cool stuff along the way. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast as always. If there's someone you think may benefit from this, please forward it to them. Share it online. Make sure to tag myself and John so we can say thank you. And as always, if you'd help us out with the old algorithms, download, subscribe, all that kind of great stuff. If you happen to be on YouTube, you can subscribe on there. We're trying to get our YouTube subscriptions up, even though most of this by far goes out just to audio. So thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. As always, we will be back again next week. Talk to you then.
Everybody sends a shit, man, sends a shit. Why you ain't thin? I'm not your son, and my name's not Shine. He calls me an old fool.
This podcast is for informational purposes only. The podcast is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. You should not use the information on the podcast for diagnosing or treating a health problem or disease or prescribing any medication or other treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider before taking any medication or nutritional supplement, and with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this or any other podcast. Reliance on the podcast is solely at your own risk. Information provided on the podcast does not create a doctor-patient relationship between you and any of the health professionals affiliated with our podcast. Information and statements regarding dietary supplements are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to therein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.